Howdy YTPC, Smoking Fred coming at you. Hope y'all are doing alright this Friday morning. I know I am. This morning, got a Nording freehand packed with some cowboy coffee. Gorgeous little freehand pipe, an excellent smoker. Hope the audio quality is alright. It's a little windier than I was hoping for down here by the water, but having a pipe by the water is always a nice thing to do. Got a VR for Piper X1X. Congrats, Jonathan, on your milestone. One day I might get there, but I'll get there when I get there. I ain't too worried about it. I've just been enjoying and connecting with the YTPC and then meeting some of y'all in person. It's been very rewarding for me. Had not planned to be a YouTuber in my life, but here I am. Got to do my own makeshift wind cap with my fingers, trying to keep this thing from getting too hot. And I don't even know if that's going to work. What was I going to say? So, embarrassing story. So when someone asked about a time I was super embarrassed, there's two that jump out in my head. First one, I was flying back from Jackson, Mississippi. And this was way before I knew about pipes, otherwise I would have probably stopped into the Country Squire. But this is probably about 15 years ago. And I had a flight out, say, on a Wednesday. Well, it was Tuesday. I was done with my work early and was hoping to try to get out of there early. So I got to the airport, and it was within 3 hours of the flight, so I couldn't do it over the phone. I get to the airport, go in, talk to the lady, and see if I could change my flight. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we can do that." So I was flying through Charlotte, and then I had another connection from there. And when she gets done, she's like, "Oh, you got to get going, but I can only print your ticket to Charlotte. It won't let me print your second ticket. But when you get to Charlotte, you can get that one." I was like, "All right, no problem." Seemed kind of strange, but I didn't think too much about it. So go through security, and there's only 5 gates at this airport, but I get through security and they were doing random checks, and since I changed last minute, they pulled everything out of my bag. And I can see my gate, they're bored, and there's not many people left in line. So they finish checking me over, and I walk over the gate, and they also have the TSA checkers over there, and they say, "Oh, sir, we're gonna need to give you a good flag for a random search over here." I'm like, you can see me, right? And they just smile. I'm like, "All right, you know what? Go ahead and search my stuff. Fine, whatever." So they searched through my stuff. Didn't find anything because I was all legal. And then I get on the plane, and this airport at the time did not have the barcode scanners, so they just took my ticket, and I walked on the plane. And I had a seat, we'll just say 13 deep, and there was a spot on the left side of the plane, so on row 13, so I sat down in that spot, didn't think too much about it. And we're getting close to takeoff time, and they go through and they do the head count. And then they come through and do the head count again. And then they come through a third time. And about this time, the guy sitting next to me, the stewardess comes up and asks him if they can see his ticket. And he asks if there's a problem. And they said, "Well, it seems you got on this, well, we got 2 tickets for you getting on this flight." He says, "Well, that's funny because I only got on here once." And so I got to thinking about what had transpired about them not giving me my second ticket. So I pull out my ticket. It was not my ticket. it was a gentleman sitting to my right. He happened to have the first 3 letters of my last name that I did, and the ticket agent just typed in the first 3 letters and hit print, didn't check the name. And then I came through TSA security, and they didn't check my ID against the ticket, actually. So we were held up for about 15 minutes or so while they sorted it out. I mean, I had a receipt saying I bought a ticket, had my confirmation number. They had to reprint and then figure out exactly what happened. But for some people, it might not be embarrassing, but knowing that I was raised to believe that if you are 5 minutes late, if you show up somewhere 5 minutes early, you're late. I was always taught to try to respect other people's time more than my own, so I just felt bad about wasting 15 minutes of time for every other person on the plane because of this. Even though it wasn't my fault, I still was very embarrassed about it. And then another little bonus for y'all. I am fairly quick-witted, and I have some quips that I have kind of queued up that I say from time to time in response to certain things. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but they're kind of there. One in the story I can definitely think of, but there was a gal at my church that was blind, and she was telling me a story about, I forget exactly what was going on, but it was her trying to locate something in her house, and a friend had sat down somewhere and she didn't know exactly what it was, so she was kind of trying just to find it. And so one of the quips that I have queued up is, well, every now and again a blind squirrel finds a nut. And as soon as I realized what I was saying, my brain is like, stop. Don't say this to this blind girl. It might offend her. But the cannon was loaded, the fuse was lit, there was no stopping it. My face started turning red before I even finished saying it. I was like, oh, here I go. I just shot myself in the foot, dug myself a big old hole. Luckily for me, she thought it was the funniest thing she ever heard. So, that's enough of me babbling and telling stories today. Just want to remind you to try to be a better person today than you were yesterday. You can be a better person tomorrow than you were today. Smoking Fred, out.